Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Talking Cheese, episode 3. It is August 2nd, 2026. It's actually the night of August 1st, 2026, but it's past midnight now. But I'm doing this right now, review whatever my thoughts on Blade Runner, the original. I watched it this morning, actually, and took some notes and all this and that, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. And yeah, just give my overall thoughts on it. And spoiler alert, there are going to be, spoilers. So yeah. Um, and the way I like to do my reviews on anything is just I give the rating right off the bat. So my rating is a 6 out of 10. That's my overall just feeling of the movie, like immediate. Um, yeah. I don't want to, but I feel like I have to almost talk about like the reputation this movie has. Like, I won't really necessarily talk about its reputation and how it's viewed in like society, I guess, in a sense, at least in American culture, like as a whole, but just the way um my like understanding of this movie was before viewing it today. Um, so I kind of viewed Blade Runner as, in my mind, it's a classic. Um, Whether it's like, I have no idea how well this movie was received or how well it did um, at the point of release, like initial release back in the 80s, in 1982. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea if it's like like straight up like classic, like as far as like instant classic, like when it came out, like this had people talking like this and that, like you had to go see it, kind of like a Star Wars, you know, or like a Terminator, or something like that. I have no idea if this was like on that level. I kind of was on the assumption it was. I have no idea if it's like that or if it's like a cult classic where it didn't do too well, maybe like box office wise, but the people who loved it like really really loved it. But in my eyes, it's considered a classic. It's considered one of the greatest movies like of all time. And I don't know. Well, initially after viewing the movie, I kind of didn't know if, because of that kind of like expectation, it didn't meet it, and I was kind of disappointed. You know, but the more I sit and think about it, the more I think its reputation kind of has nothing to do with it, because I've seen movies before that have a great reputation and I still love, and movies that like, you know, I feel like if the reputation did ruin this movie for me, I think it would had I would have said I hated the movie, and then after a while I'm like, okay, I don't hate it, but I still don't love it. And that's kind of where, like, after thinking about it for like a bit, where I land on this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I don't think it's a good movie. Um, so with that being said, that's just kind of where I land, and that's where I'm getting the 6 out of 10 from. Um, but I'll go into what I like and what I don't. Um, and the way I do my reviews is kind of just more the off top of my head kind of thing. Like, I took some notes, but I'm not reading off a script or nothing. So just kind of me and Mike and I go. So yeah. So what I like, first off, I think Harrison Ford um, does well. Harrison Ford, I think I'm just a fan of Harrison Ford's. Um, in general, um, even when I don't really care for his movies, I think he comes out as a highlight. Um, he definitely, I think, acts well. Um, but if I had to give him one critique, uh, the way he is like narrating the situations, um, I feel like he could not sound deader or uninterested, or like, it's a very kind of like a noir. I can't pronounce noir esque. I can't pronounce it. Sorry. But you know, it's very like old, like classic kind of like detective. You know, like narrating. You can picture like a 50s movie or something like that, or a 60s movie. You know, and that's like the vibe. But it feels like uh you know, an aspect of like, you know, a genre that they're trying to replicate versus like something that's natural. I don't know. I don't know. I just, when Harrison Ford is narrating, I get the vibe of that one person who can't really like read well in class when the teacher calls on them and they're kind of like struggling a little bit. They're not doing terrible, but you know they're like deadpan as shit and like there's kind of no ups and downs and they're a little slow reading it. Not that he sounds like stupid or nothing, but it just doesn't sound. Um, I guess the word would be natural. It just does not sound. He does not sound natural to me. I guess, but that's my like one critique for Harrison Ford. Um, I kind of have. It's not really a critique on him. It's more of the writing. In this case, his character very indifferent with Deckard. To be honest, I didn't really come out loving the main character. He just kind of exists as like you know he's the catalyst of you know he's just the protagonist and is we're following him and you know the movie progresses around him, but there isn't much in like um there isn't much substance to him, I would say, and I could really care less about his character if I'm being honest. And before I go full like deep end with like the story and the characters, I will talk about a positive and absolutely 10 out of 10 amazing directing, camera work, like visual effects. The environment is like, you know, the environment in is peak. It's you know, visually the movie's immaculate and like I don't think like in this time frame when this movie came out like early 80s, I would even throw in like you know early not early but like late 70s early 80s, you know, there's just nothing in my head that looks quite as good. Like I think this is one of the most visually pleasing movies I have ever seen in my life, and that is probably the best and number one compliment I can give this movie is it's eye candy. Like it's beautiful. Like you know, and that's kind of what kind of raises the score of this movie for me to a 6. But what doesn't like raise it higher or kind of even brings it down is the story and how uninteresting pretty much all the characters are to me. Um, you know, the story is very shallow in my eyes. It's like, you know, I don't think this needed to be super amazing, but the story just feels like there's barely one there. Like, I don't know. It's and with the themes and when the movie starts out with that text of the you know the intro where it's explaining what replicants are and what Blade Runners are and how the Blade Runners go and hunt down the replicants and you know they kill them, but it's called I believe I don't know if they use the word retiring. I forget what word they used, but you know it wasn't called executing. You know, and how replicants were used as slave labor. You know, this the most recent batch has like you know essentially human in a sense, um, except they have like a short lifespan of 4 years, and it's just, with all that being said, you know, it gives me an idea of what the movie is gonna be about, and instead it is not. It just kind of says this is the way it is and how the world works, but we're not going to really delve too deep into that. Instead, we get a story of a Blade Runner. Um, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to call them cop. They're cops, whatever. We get a story of a cop who hunts them down, but doesn't necessarily like it. Like, he's retired, and then his, like, boss, the character named Bryant, he, like, basically threatens him. I don't remember what the threat was. I think it was kind of vague or implied threat in a sense. You know what I mean? To come back and hunt down a group of replicants that have escaped, and there's 4 of them, I believe. And it's basically what he does. He meets another replicant, and basically falls in love with her, but still continues to hunt them down. And I don't know. It just not what I wanted with what the setup was immediately, and with what it doesn't do well. So I'll talk about Rachel. Rachel is a replicant. Well, let's talk about replicants as a whole. Replicants are made by a company. I forget the name of the company. I don't know if they're named after the dude. The dude's name's Tyrell. I don't know if they're called Tyrell Company. They might be. I forget. But the creator of Replicants basically is some dude named Tyrell, and he, runs the company, and he like makes them this and that. Harrison's character Deckard goes to like the main building, I guess, and he like questions him, and they have this like test to see how replicants, like, basically to see if someone is a replicant or not. And Harrison Ford goes there, and he wants to run a test on one of the replicants that they have in there to see if it really works. And then he was like, well, before you test a replicant, test on my like assistant lady first. And he's like, okay. And they do that test, and it like lasts like a really long time, I guess. I don't remember I don't know if they said it lasted an hour. I forget how long, but I think they said it was like over 100 questions. And usually, I think Deckard, said like he could tell usually within like 5 to 10 minutes, but that one took like a longer time. And with her, it took him like, the over 100 questions. And he realizes that, she's a replicant. She doesn't know. She like leaves. And I forget what happens immediately after, but it doesn't show Harrison questioning another replicant, So I think Tyrell just like assumes, okay, if you can tell that she's a replicant with this, then you're going to tell with the batch that's like run loose, because she's like a newer version. I think she's like the most updated or the most recent manufactured replicant or whatever. I think she's the only one, because I didn't say this in the beginning, but replicants are basically illegal and banned, and that's why the Blade Runners, the cops, go and like hunt them down and kill them, and they're free to just do it like nothing, like, no question. Like, they just go out in the street and gun them down, and it's fine. And the reason why they say in the text, because a group of replicants rebelled like on an off-world colony, and basically like took it over, and because of that, on Earth they made them like illegal and supposed to kill them on sight. I don't know how like Tyrell, his company, operates during all of that, but they still have their big ass building where Tyrell lives, and they are still there. But yeah, so Rachel then finds out that she's a replicant, and like she kind of leaves, and now not only is Deckard supposed to hunt down the 4 later when he kills one, um, he is told that he's supposed to eventually hunt her down as well. But there's this part. So let me talk about the four replicants that they are looking for. They have the main guy, like the leader. His name's like Roy Batty, and essentially his girlfriend Pris, and then there's a guy named Leon, and Leon is in the beginning of the movie, and he's kind of what tips off the cops because they're doing that like verbal questioning test on him, and he kills the guy that is questioning him like after the second question, and then he like is on the run. So he's the third guy. You see him in the beginning of the movie, and there's this chick named Zora, and I guess she's like supposed to be like a performer. I don't know if it's like a strip club kind of deal, but I think she is. I didn't really realize because you see her topless, so that's why I kind of assumed some sort of strip club kind of thing. Um, but those are the four that he's supposed to hunt down. He hunts down the stripper girl first. He finds her first, Zora, and he kills her after like a chase. He sees like, I think it's like immediately after he kills her, he sees Rachel, and he tries to follow her, I think, and she ends up walking off, and then he's basically just walking away, and then Leon shows up, and he kind of fucks Deckard up, and he is about to kill he's about to kill him. Basically, Harrison Ford's character is about to die, and then Rachel comes and picks up the gun, Deckard's gun that Leon like knocked away, and saves Deckard. And basically, Harrison Ford's character, I think, just kind of writes off killing her then and there, if not before. And then, they go to his apartment, and she's like kind of stays there, and then, they kiss, and I don't know if they have sex or not, but I think it's maybe implied or whatever. And then you would think after all that, he's maybe like, okay, maybe we just try to run or something, and I won't hunt down the other two. But no, he goes out and he goes and kills them, basically. He finds well, let me talk about Roy and Pris. They basically are trying to get in touch with Tyrell to like live longer. Basically, they're at the end of their like lifespan, and they run into this dude who like makes the replicant's eyes. I don't know if they kill him, but he gives up some dude named Sebastian, and Pris like kind of hangs out, pretends to be homeless, I guess, outside of his apartment, and he's like a super nice dude, I guess, and like invites her in, and she ends up staying with him. And then eventually Roy comes, and he realizes that they're replicants, and Roy wants him to take him to Tyrell. So Sebastian ends up taking Roy to Tyrell's building that Deckard was at earlier, and they're in like Tyrell's bedroom, and he's like, I need you to help us. And he's like, there's nothing we can do. If there was something we could have done to like improve your guys' like lifespan or whatever, we would have, but there was nothing. And so Roy kills him, kills Tyrell, and then he kills Sebastian too. Doesn't really show it on screen. But while that's all happening, Deckard, Harrison Ford's character, is out, and he goes to Sebastian's place and finds Pris there. And I gotta say, I was expecting them to do like a thing, like a reveal where Deckard was a replicant all along, and I thought they were doing that when he's going after Pris, and Pris like knocks his gun away, and then she like jumps on his head, and she has his head between her thighs, and it looks like she's gonna snap his neck. And there's a point where he turns around, and I thought like his complete head did like a 180, and I thought, oh, like, oh my god, he is a replicant, but no, he like somehow like actually was able just to turn around fully with, I guess, his head, so he didn't get his head snapped. But yeah, but Deckard isn't a replicant. But I really thought they were gonna do like a reveal like that, but no, he's not. He kills her, and then Roy comes back from having killed Tyrell and Sebastian. Basically, has the last standoff with Harrison Ford's character, and they have this big old fight, and it like lasts like a while. It ends up with Harrison Ford like dangling from like the roof of a building, and he is slipping, and Roy catches him and he pulls him up, and he gives him a speech. Like, what does he say? He talks about like his memories, and they're gonna be gone, and like tears in Lost in the Rain or something like that. And he just dies saving him. And I don't know, like, I get the replicants, what they're doing to just survive, and why they kill Tyrell. Well, I won't say they. I don't know if it's all Roy, but Roy kills Tyrell and Sebastian. I don't know if him and Leon kill the dude who makes the eyes, the Asian dude, I forget his name. But I don't know if it's implied. I don't think they show it. If they do, I don't remember now. But, I get why they're killing them, because kind of like they made them, and, almost viewing them as not like as you should, like, they're very much viewing them as creations, and not like one would look at like their own children, you know what I mean? So I guess that's the reason Roy kills them, because before, when they were killing, they were pretty much doing it like for survival, I believe, or I assume rather, to just survive, like hijacking a ship and like being on the run kind of deal, not necessarily out of hate, but just to survive. But with Tyrell and Sebastian, it was more personal, I assume. But then sparing Harrison Ford's character, when he killed literally your three people, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Even, I guess in the explanation of like, he didn't care about taking a life. He wanted to preserve a life. He just cared about life and his life in that moment, kind of thing. Like, I get it, but I'm also, I don't know. It's just very, I think more than anything. Well, let me talk about the scene after that immediately bugs me. Or I feel like I got to rewatch, because Harrison Ford is dangling from the roof. Roy picks him up, and Roy's at the very end of his lifespan. He's like dying during the fight with Harrison Ford, by the way. So he's like about to die, and he gives his speech to Harrison Ford, and then he just dies. And then Harrison Ford just kind of stares at him as he's like dead, and then they have this character that is another, I guess, Blade Runner cop named Gaff, and he is like maybe in like 3 scenes I can remember, like one in like the beginning when Harrison Ford's character comes back, one in the middle, and then like again at the end. And he's just like a dude with like a cool outfit, and that is pretty much the like extent of his character. But he like is in his car, his like hover car or whatever, and it's parked, and he's looking at Harrison Ford, and he's like, well, you got them all. uh, you're not right. You're not gonna hunt down Rachel or whatever. And then he says, I'm done. And he's like, and then Gap says, it's a shame she's not gonna live long. But then again, who does or whatever? And he like walks away and gets in his car. But I'm like, are they not on the roof still, or did he park like up like? But the angle they show Gap, I feel like should be where the gap of the building was. But I don't know. It leaves me a little confused, and I kind of got to rewatch that scene, I think. But I just thought that part was kind of like, I don't know. I'm sure people who are watching this, if anyone, are just like absolutely hating what I think of this movie. But like God Gaff is just like I don't know, a lot of the characters are just like a nothing character. The replicants, for example, Zora, like I said, is just a stripper. She's just like there essentially to die and be part of the crew. Leon, you see him in the beginning. Uh, Again, he's just kind of there to be kind of like, I guess, like ticks off the whole, you know, the Blade Runners, the cops that that they're there in on Earth in L.A. and yeah, is there to die by Rachel's hand. So essentially Rachel and Harrison Ford's character get together, and Harrison Ford won't go after her. Um, you know, Roy and Pris are okay. They get a little more substance, but I mean, I can't think of anything I like about him really. Like, I guess I kind of like Roy's speech of wanting to live, um, at the end, but that's about as memorable as he gets to me. What else? I mean, that's really, I think, all I got. It's not what I expect, and I'm surprised at, I guess, the amount of praise this film gets, because again, it's not a bad film. It's not a good film. Like, the only, again, the I don't really like when I think of this movie right now. Like, I'm really not thinking a whole lot about interactions as much as I am remembering like a bunch of cool looking scenes, like the beginning when they show LA and there's those things with the fire shooting out. Like, God, the amount of rain in every scene is just so perfect, and the setting is like so beautiful in like a very dark dystopian, like, sad kind of way, not like in a beautiful pretty, but like beautiful, ugly. It's that cyberpunk aesthetic, and I gotta say, I feel like that is the only reason that this movie is as loved as it is. And I feel like you can say you really love a movie just for the visual like effects, or because you think it's pretty, just because you like to watch and you kind of wish you lived in that world in a sense, or you wish we had like this futuristic stuff. But like, to say there's something deep here more than what's going on, I think is mm, not true. Like, I feel like the only way this movie means a lot to you is if, like, one, you saw this when it came out back in the day, or B, if you were a child and it was like one of the first movies you had ever seen, like, ever. You know what I mean? But like me watching it as a 30-year-old, you know, it's an okay movie. There isn't really a whole lot to love in my eyes. My favorite scene, I got to say, my favorite scene of the whole movie is Harrison Ford doing the enhance and like shit with the picture. He gets the picture like in this like machine, this VHS looking thing, and it pops up on the screen, and he's like, doing voice commands to like zoom in and out of the picture and all this and that. Like, that is my favorite part of the whole movie. Like, and the cars look cool when that first car, I don't know if it's in the beginning. I think it is because they want to show that shit off like right off the bat when the car like takes off and it has like that like steam or smoke whatever blowing out from underneath the car. Deckard's gun looks fucking cool. Like the whole movie, like it looks sick. The outfits, that the characters wear are cool. Everything looks amazing. I kind of excuse me, can't talk right now. I kind of talk shit on Gap a bit earlier, but he looks sick as fuck. But like he has no, he's just there, dude. Like that's what this movie is. It's just a bunch of people who are there with the character Deckard, Harrison Ford's character, who is like like barely more of a character than everyone else, like just a step above. And you know it's just it's so one dimensional. It's just so one dimensional. And I feel like with the way the film, not even like the reputation the film has, the way the film starts, like that even sets an expectation to me of what it's going to be about. And for it to kind of turn into kind of like some like crappy love story, and I say crappy because it doesn't really make sense to me when that they get together, because like, and I fucking knew it too, because when Deckard goes to Tyrell's when he's there to do the questioning and he is introduced to Rachel, I'm like, oh, she's going to be the love interest. And I was hoping so bad that I was wrong. I was wrong on Deckard being a replicant, but I really wanted to be wrong on Rachel, and them two getting together. And yeah, she just gets revealed to be a replicant, and she like leaves his apartment, doesn't go back to Tyrell. He like lets the authorities know, I guess, so now they have to hunt her down too. And her saving Harrison Ford, and that just kind of being it in the end, and like, okay, now they're gonna get together basically. And just, God, I don't know. I really don't. But I don't know why this film gets as much praise as it does, if I'm being perfectly honest. And again, I feel like it's because, like I said, it is solely for the visuals. And I'll reiterate, one of the most beautiful looking movies of all time, I think. Amazing special effects, visual effects, environment. I mentioned the rain earlier, but God, the amount of rain, like, I love it. Like, I love the setting. I love everything. That building they show with the cool advertisement or the girl or whatever. Like, there's like, it's just perfect visually. It's perfect visually. But nothing else is. And I think I'll leave it at that. And that's why I give Blade Runner a 6 out of 10. I'm trying to think real quick if there's anything else I really want to say. I'm going to try to quickly run through the movie in my head. So what do we got? We got the intro with the text. Deckard going in, becoming a Blade Runner again. Goes in questions. Rachel figures out she's replicant. He does the picture thing. He finds Zora. I'm skimming over. Leon and Roy kill that, I think, the Asian dude, or go the Asian dude with the eye doctor or whatever. Gives up Sebastian. Pris goes to Sebastian's apartment. I think, I don't know if I said already, that he kills Zora, gets attacked by Leon. Rachel kills Leon. They go home. Basically, their romance kindles after Rachel saves him. And then what happens? Kind of jumping, I think. I don't know what I'm missing. Roy and Pris are both at Sebastian's now. Roy goes to Tyrell's, kills Tyrell and Sebastian there. Meanwhile, Harrison Ford kills Pris. And then the standoff with Roy and Harrison. and you know, Roy doesn't kill Deckard, and yeah, he goes home, finds Rachel still there, and they go and disappear, and that's the movie. No, I don't think I have anything else. I like, just try to quickly run through it, what I could remember. Um, yeah, I think that's all I got. Thank you to whoever may have watched this all the way up to here. If you are a big fan and love this movie and you watched it all and you absolutely hate my guts, I'm not really sorry. Um, I don't love this movie. But again, if there's any saving grace, I don't think it's a bad movie. Um, in fact, it's probably better than a lot of movies. I think most movies probably are, you know, for me, like maybe are out of maybe a 5 out of 10 or less is bad. It's not a bad movie. It's just not good in my eyes. It's overrated, I think, to me, and that's why it sits at a 6 out of 10. And I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Um, Thank you to whoever may have watched all of this. I appreciate it, and until next time.